What do we have next then? We've spoken about Rajniti right in the beginning. We spoke about science right now. Ab thoda business ki baat bhi kar lete hain. And in 2024, when you talk about business in India, you cannot overlook the thriving startup ecosystem. Ranked as the third largest globally, India is experiencing an unprecedented startup boom. But how are women transforming this trend from being just mere entrepreneurs to maybe naripreneurs? Our next panel will shed some light on just that. May I please call upon stage our next guest, Joyita Sen, Director, Senco Gold and Diamonds, in conversation with Chandra R. Shrikant, Deputy Executive Editor, Money Control.
Thank you for that, Sonal. First of all, I must say I've never seen a conference with so many women where, over 90% of the audience are women. So a huge round of applause for that. And I hope this can set the trend where, we have more than 50% women in pretty much every event we do. That's the idea. But this is very, very heartening to see. And thank you very much for coming in huge numbers this morning. Joyita, welcome to She Shakti.
Thank you.
And one interesting takeaway this morning is we seem to have a lot of speakers from the eastern part of India. You're from Kolkata as well, and we had a director in the previous session who's also based in Kolkata. And you come from a legacy brand, Senco Jewellers, which is 85 years old. And this year has been so good for jewelry brands, right? Gold prices are rising. There's been an import duty cut. The festive season is just about to start. Tell us about how it's been running this legacy gold business, at the same time taking it to the new generation.
Yes. Firstly, good afternoon to everyone. It's really great to be here, and I was, sitting over there and listening to all the women talk about different aspects. So it's really inspiring because women do need to come to the forefront, and the more support we can give to each other, the better. Coming back to your question, that yes, coming from the legacy of 85 years is a big responsibility in itself, because you have so much of trust and the responsibility of a legacy. So the Karigari is what Calcutta and Bengal is all about. So preserving that, keeping that alive is, I think, a primary importance and also a challenge in today's day and time. Yet at the same time, you also have to embrace innovation with technology, with digitalization, new trends, new thought processes, because international influences are coming in a big way. So the social media has actually shrunk the world in a big way. So coming back to the gold question which you asked for the season, that yes, it's been a great season. We started with Akshaya Tritiya and then continuing with the gold rate cut, which has actually really been good news for everyone, especially our customers. And to remember that gold is also Sri Dhan.
Right.
Yeah, so it's been a great thing for customers to come and buy. And with the festive season coming, it's always a good investment, because if we look
Is that
over
your pitch to all the potential customers in the room, that it's a good investment? I said, is that a pitch to all the potential customers in the hall, that it's a good investment, Sri Dhan?
Yeah. Actually, I mean, if you really look at it, it is, because, I mean, that is the best way to have your own power and your own investment and adorn yourself with it, I think that's the best investment that women can have. And yes, so coming back to what I was saying is, it's over the years, if you really look at it, the maximum return on investment that anyone has got is on gold. So yes, it's a great business to be in, and it's not without its challenges, because technology and innovation and that also buys for. So today when you have a budget, you're like, will I buy a jewelry, or will I buy a phone, or will I buy something else? So,
Or will I buy tickets for the Diljit Dosanjh concert?
Yeah.
Because Gen Z is into experiences.
Yes, so you see, today options are there for so many more things. So you're not just within the industry; it's also about the changing mindset, which is also a challenge.
Right. Joyita, very interesting times for jewelry industry. You have legacy brands like Senco, GRT, Malabar in the south. Then you have Tanishq from the house of Tata. And then in the last decade, you have brands like Bluestone, Carrot Lane, Jiva, which are very new, the so-called startup brands. So how do you make Senco succeed and shine amidst so much of competition? And appeal to the Gen Z buyer who's very discerning. They don't want to own what their parents had. They have this not my brand. They don't want to own any brands that their parents owned. How do you appeal to that target audience?
So, firstly, when you're talking about a legacy brand, because jewelry is also synonymous with trust. So, the trust is built over time. And the trust is something that customers can see, because when you say something, you have to manifest it. You have to have people see it. So when you're saying you're giving a certain quality or a certain purity, at some point of time, the customer is going to come back to you and is actually going to take you on your word, exchange that, and buy new jewelry. So when you are breaking it and your jewelry can go to any other brand also. So when they are saying, oh yes, the purity of this gold is very good, and that's how the trust is established. So that is something which is a defining factor for Senco. That's number one, because we always deliver on what we promise. And at a time when hallmarking was not mandatory, we used to have a 22 by 22. So, and if anyone had to exchange it somewhere else also, they would get that gold back. And we've actually had customers come and tell us this. So this was a feedback directly from them. Secondly is that all karigars across the world, and I'm not just saying in India, across the world that make jewelry are from Bengal. So the karigari and creativity is in our blood. And we have karigars who are working with us for generations. So design and innovation is our strength. So the frequency at which we are constantly coming out with new designs is the highest in the industry. Because of which every time, when you are going, the first question we ask in a retail is, "Aaj kuch naya dikhaiye." So, so that is the question which we are constantly catering to.
Right.
And innovation in terms of product, innovation in terms of designs in categories. So, like you very correctly said, that Senco having been there for so many years, in a way I'm very happy and proud that the younger generation also prefers Senco, because you have to be relevant with the times. You cannot just, oh, I am a brand with a legacy and tradition. You will become irrelevant if you can't move with the times. So you have to understand trends, you have to follow designs, and give the younger generation what they are looking for. So that is what we provide them.
Right.
And also, jewelry is, for the younger generation, they don't look at it as an investment. They look at it as something that they can identify themselves with. So now, speaking your personality is a thing, that this is my look, this is what I identify with, so this is what I will wear to express who I am. So that individuality has become a big part of the jewelry industry. So you have to cater to the different kinds of personality, so that no matter who comes, you always have a design that speaks to them.
Right.
So, that is how you are relevant to the younger generation. And another point is that with the price of gold going up, but the budget of everyone stays the same.
So how do you kind of create different
Yes,
segments?
so
make
that
it
is
more
where
affordable?
Senco's strong point and USP has been over generation, is that everyone, especially for brides, they want a fuller look. But oftentimes, a lot of people don't have that kind of budget. So that is what we are constantly studying what women want.
Right.
So that's what we are trying to provide.
Right. We have about 1.5 minutes, so very quickly, Joyita, two quick questions before I let you go. What's the proportion of men who buy jewelry for women versus women who buy it for themselves? Has that changed over the years? And what trends can you tell us about the festive season? What's the gemstone that's doing well? What's the accessory that's expected to do very well? I wish we had more time, but unfortunately we're out of time. So these two quick questions for you.
Okay. So women have always bought jewelry for themselves. The husbands come and they're like, "Acha lag raha hai." So that is what they usually do. But we are also seeing that men's fashion are increasing. So it's a little different from the question you asked me. So while the acha lag raha hai, that part hasn't changed, but men are also actively now very stylish. They also have, I want to speak my personality too. So they are also buying jewelry for themselves. So yeah, this is quickly to answer your question. For the trends coming up is lightweight jewelry for the upcoming trend season, which is again season to season based, story based, because even ma'am was saying about match, you have to have a story in your mind. So you see, humans are driven by their thoughts, by their identity. So a story driven collection is what always, no matter the season, is what tickles people's imagination and they identify with that story. So that's the trend. And wedding season is coming up, and Dhanteras is a great time when every jeweler is giving offers. So yeah, wedding season, wedding collections, that is coming up. Colored stone green was in last year, green is again in, because we saw a whole lot of high celebrity weddings happening, and green was the color that was shown.
Emeralds front and center, that's right.
Yeah, so, and that has now become like everyone wants the green color stone. So also by itself, colored stones as a category is also gaining popularity in jewelry. So no matter what you design, we always have to keep that in mind and put a little stone, and that design is always an instant hit. So that's all the forecast for the upcoming trends and season.
Great. On that note, thank you very much, Joyita. Very insightful. A huge round of applause for Joyita. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, thank you for that, Joyita. Well, taking your words, acha lag raha hai. Everybody's feeling good about how the conversation is going this afternoon. But don't worry, we are not done with our perspective on some other Naripreneurs just yet. Let's welcome another set of them on stage for another round of absolutely inspiration conversation. Let's welcome Chaitali Das, Chairman and Managing Editor, Route to Jute. We also have with us on stage next Rinzing Chodan Bhutia. She's the founder and CEO of Agapi. And Sanskari Sudan. She's the founder of Overqualified Housewives. Back in conversation with Chandra.
Thank you for that, Sonal. As promised, we have a lot of guests from the eastern and the northeastern part of India today, representing Kolkata and Sikkim. Thank you all very much. I just want to take off from what was mentioned in the Science Ki Shakti session, which is how do you integrate everything. And it reminds me of what Indra Nooyi once said, which is that the career clock is, at complete conflict with the biological clock. And that's why we don't see women in the mid-management, top management levels. That's where the drop-off happens a lot. But you're trying to address that, Shantri, with your venture, which is called Overqualified Housewives. This is based in Chennai. How has that helped? Has it helped in bringing back more women in the workforce, restart their careers? And also, is there lesser prejudice now among, HR folks that it's okay to hire people with career gaps? Yeah. It's working?
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Am I audible? Yeah. So with, of course, there is a positive change in the HR space. See, the main thing is the number of women who are entering the workforce is increasing because more of us, more women are studying now, more women are getting into the professional courses. All that is happening. But the thing is, once they are up in the ladder, once they are in the middle, because of family commitments and things, they are dropping out. In fact, I just read about it, and the 5th National Family Health Survey says that 20 million women, dropped out of workforce in the last 5 years, and I was one among them. So irrespective of the kind of dreams we had, irrespective of where we come from, many women take up this choice to take care of their family. But now more and more companies, they started accepting this factor, and more openings are coming up. And I think this is where we are particularly working on to restart the career break women, to get and normalize it, and to suppress this unconscious bias in the minds of companies.
Has it had a visible impact? Do you see more companies opening up such roles? Because, they would just go for some fresher who's available, I don't know, at 30% less salary. That's the first impulse that you have, right, as a manager. But has that perception changed? They know that these women bring more value.
Okay. So in our, according to our knowledge and whatever we have seen so far, we need to bring more and more examples. We started showing examples rather than trying to convince organizations. We started showing the skill set and the mindset of women who are trying to restart, rather than just telling, take them. So what happened is, many of the companies, we mostly work with MSMEs and startups. So initially they may be like, okay, should I hire or not? And then once they are okay with hiring one person, they see that burning desire in that woman's eyes, and the level of commitment, empathy, the resilience and all those will make more and more women to get. The thing is, this happened with one of the companies wherein they were like, I will take only one woman. I'm not sure whether she'll be the right fit. The moment that woman started working, after seeing her skill set and after seeing the kind of commitment, they hired 20 women from our platform.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so that's how we have to go. It's all about showing and creating more examples.
Right. Great story, Shankri, and thank you for doing that. A huge round of applause for that, because the drop-off rate is something very concerning. So to get women back into the workforce is a big thing, and we need more women representation in the workforce as well for India to achieve all its GDP goals. But coming to you, Chaitali, from Chennai to Kolkata, and you run a venture which is about, taking Kolkata's famous jute and showcasing it to the world. You've also worked with prison inmates for this. Tell us about what Route to Jute does today, and what are your best-selling products, the markets for it.
Very good afternoon. Thank you very much, She Shakti TV18, for having me here. Jute Story is the brand, and Route to Jute Private Limited is a startup. So all it started actually behind the bars, imparting skill to the prison inmates, because I also consider them to be human resource who are languishing behind the bars. So showing them the right path and the right direction, I think they can also contribute to the progressive trajectory, contribute to the climate action, and also bring jute back to life and more usable. And at the wake-up call of banning plastic, so I think jute should be the fashion statement. That's how I have been campaigning jute for climate action. Jute is a fashion statement. So while I was imparting this training to the prison inmates, we have gone to different exhibitions, SARC, to BIMSTEC, to international fashion show, catering and marketing, not marketing actually, making some awareness, giving the story of reformation, whether these prison inmates can also contribute, the human resource can also contribute for the goodness of society.
Right.
That's how it has started, Jute Story, Beyond Bars, from behind bars.
So today, behind bars is great, because literally you're getting people in prisons to, contribute to this venture. Huge social impact there. But out of the people working for you today, how many of them are, from behind bars? Have you also been able to co-opt other members of the community for this venture? Take us through that briefly.
So, as of now, we have impacted 5,000 prison inmates to skill development and wellness. they have somewhere actually gone ahead with the entrepreneurship. Some of them are also working with my foundation and my startup. And recently, in 2021, we made to the Guinness World Record, making the largest jute bag in the world.
Wow, a round of applause for that. Yeah.
And giving a message to the global community, more greener, healthier, inclusive world, because making this jute bag where also the prison inmates who have served the term and women from the vulnerable section of the society, just showing to the world that women and men can work together equally and making such a big fit.
Great, great. So we came from job to bag to skincare, because that's what your venture is about, Rinsing. She's the founder of Agapi, a skincare brand.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, based in Sikkim. How is it building a venture from Sikkim in terms of the support you got today? Of course, you have a thriving Instagram store. But initially, how is it bringing the community together? What kind of challenges did you have to surmount?
So I started my journey in 2019. It was just before the onset of
Pandemic.
Yeah, of pandemic. And then I was coming up with a farm stay, Agapi farm stay, and it didn't materialize at that time. But my passion to, create something out of the kitchen kind of, just took off. And one product at a time. Today, I think we have about close to 50 odd products. And skincare products, I mean, if you check the Instagram stories, you'll see a new skincare brand coming up every day, right? But how do we set ourselves apart is we kind of, use the Himalayan herbs and plants that we have been using for, generations. For example, mugwort is one of our best-selling ingredient or product that we make. And so it has been used over tradition. For anything, you have a small cut in your hand, you just, take the plants and put it on your cut. Your nose is bleeding, you just shove it in your nose. You have high pressure in the family, you just make juice out of it and drink it up. And then when I started creating my skincare brand, I was like, skincare is every day, but how do I set myself apart? So that's when I thought about having skincare brand which focuses on the herbs and plants that we get in our area. And we have twofold business model. Firstly, we make, manufacture and sell our products, but at the same time, we also provide skill development training to women belonging to the marginalized section of the society, mostly tribal women, victims of domestic violence and sexual abuse. So far, we have managed to train about more than 400 women in Sikkim. And few of them are working directly under us, and we partner with them, we procure materials from them, and if they want to start their own businesses, like few of them, many of them have, we kind of give them support in the sense, help them, of course, manufacture the product, not just that, how to label it, how to take it to the market. So that is how we have been functioning so far. And we would like to, take it all the way to Northeast and tap into different, I mean, right now we are using probably just 1% of, it is not rare Himalayan herbs and plants, it's just 1% of the many plants and herbs which are available. But we are in the process of doing a lot of research, working with the elders of the villages who have in-depth knowledge about those plants and herbs and making it available to the mainland.
Right.
So that is our intention.
Right. I think one common thread among all these three naripreneurs or women entrepreneurs is it's not just about fundraising, top line, bottom line, but about creating actual impact in marginalized communities, people who don't get that opportunity otherwise. So a round of applause for that, because these are social impact ventures. But, since we have the last 4 minutes, if I can quickly get your thoughts on what your goals are over the next 2-3 years, how you're going to take this pan-India or even international, because I'm sure there's a huge market for that. Himalayan herbs from India, I don't know, selling in North America, I'm sure will be a reach. But let me start with you. What are your big goals for your venture?
So, I started Overqualified Housewives after reading an article about overqualified housewives. India is the country with the highest number of overqualified housewives in the world. So when I read that, I was like, okay, I'm one among them now. You know,
You were working with
I
Infosys
worked,
before.
yes,
Yeah.
I worked. I had, 8 years of experience. I did my engineering from a good college, a very good college. But then I ended up as an overqualified housewife. And, what we are working for now is, I want to see an article saying that India, a country with the highest number of empowered women. So when that day comes, until that day comes, we are going to be here, we are going to work towards it, because it is not just about skill gap, or it's not just about, the mindset gap. It is also about cultural gap, right? So we have been, unconsciously, figured out, like, we have been made us to think in a certain way, but I'm seeing a lot of examples today here and I'm amazed. We need to show and tell and talk a lot about these women so that more and more women will come and go to the next level. So that's my aim, and that's where we are going to go.
That's the goal. More power to you, Chaitali.
Yeah, my mission is to revive jute and reformation of prison inmates. That's how my startup is all about. And I want to see that instead, with a wake-up call of banning plastic, so there should be a natural product like jute bags everywhere all around the globe. I have covered half of the globe, but I'm yet to cover all of the globe. So that is my mission.
Great. So taking jute to the world and making it a style statement. What about you?
So like I said, right now we have just tapped into 1% of the herbs and plants that we have access to. So our mission is to tap into more, when you say rare, then the rarest plant which are available. And of course, provide encourage more women to take up their own, don't seek for government jobs. I mean, 1.43 billion people, right? How much can the government can offer? So instead of that, instead of being a job seeker, be a job creator. And I would love to see hundreds and tons of agapes flourishing in the entire Northeast, because Northeast has the kind of flora that Northeast has. I don't think, it's available in anywhere else. So, and when you talk about global market, first I would like to tap into the 1.4 billion people in India itself. India is the biggest market. We need not go outside for now.
That's a great message. Don't just be job seekers, become job creators. And I would encourage all of you to check out all their ventures and encourage jute, encourage Agape in Sikkim, as well as Shankri's venture. Very inspiring. Thank you all very much for joining us on the Shri Shakti platform. May we have more job creators, more naripreneurs. Thank you.
Thanks so much.